hot topic. Trump is signing an executive order to eliminate the Department of Education. Is this a betrayal on American children?
How is it a betrayal on American children when you have statistically we the poorest, like we the lowest in test scores in all the other countries underneath the Department of Education? So by all statistics, they failed. So yeah, you gotta get rid of them. They haven't done their job. Reading and writing is at an all-time low. So what are we talking about? If you're not doing your job, why am I going to continuously pay you? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Reading and writing is down bad. So maybe try another way. Instead of Department of Education, allow the states to run education for each state. Instead of having Department of Education mandate a curriculum for every state all across the board. Maybe it doesn't work in certain districts. How are you going to make a curriculum that's a foundation all across the board for one district where they got mad money, you got all these private schools, and then you got another district that barely got any resources, but they're supposed to teach the same way? Nah, son. Let the states run the education as they see fit, based upon the districts and the needs of the district. Because there ain't no way the Department of Education been doing a good job.
And which is weird because I've always thought that they kind of operated on that type of model. Because us growing up in New York City, in order for you to graduate high school, no matter how great you are as a student, you can have all A's. You had to take something what's called the Regents exam, and if you didn't pass the Regents, you didn't graduate. It didn't matter if you carried a 90 average. If you didn't pass those Regents courses, Regents test, and you had to take a Regents test for each subject. And the only way you could kind of like bypass it is if you left school and somehow got into college. You could take like a placement test once you got to college, and then they would kind of see if you could take college level courses or pre-college level courses. But in New York City, we had to take that Regents in order to even graduate high school. When you talk about other states at that time, they didn't have to take no Regents. I had cousins that was around my age that lived in Virginia, that lived in Florida. You know, they haven't even heard of a Regents exam. So, and it's like if you had good grades, it's like, yo, you gonna graduate, baby. So, and if you wanted to go to college, you had to take, different qualifying exams to get into college. So I always kind of thought that they operated on that type of system in a sense. But hearing this, I'm not mad at this at all. A lot of people was mad about this, and that's the caption that American children are being betrayed by cutting the school budget or breaking down the schooling system.
Well, that's how you know the schooling system is terrible when statistically they show you the Department of Education has been piss poor and terrible, and you still want to keep the piss poor and terrible soup. Like you still want to sip on the piss. Like that goes to show you how bad the education is. When you still want to keep the same shit that's making you dumb, but you want to still keep it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is where we at.
Yeah.
You guys should have got rid of that shit a long time ago. But you know why? People was getting money off that shit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's all a system. I mean, at the end of the day, what are we talking about? For the last 30 years, 40, 50 years, going to high school, you got what you put into high school. But that's not act like every high school provided an education that when people left, that it benefited them moving on. Most kids, and I say this all the time, and this is why they need to restructure the education system. They need to learn practical things, not just in high school, but in elementary, junior high, then high school. So by the time they get to high school, they nice at it, and by the time they leave high school, kids can actually make money in something instead of waiting to high school to learn something that they can make money from. So that way they have a real choice that they could go into the workforce, because guess what? They don't have the money to go to college. They rather just get into the workforce, make their money, make 75 to 80 grand a year, and not depend upon working at Walmart or any other big structure that's going to keep them working but keep them poor, where they can actually make a living and make their first shot their best shot. Because if they start working at 18, 19, and if they put in that type of work, by the time they 40, they could retire. But this country don't want that. This country don't want that. So imagine if we had an educational system based and built where kids is learning things as early as junior high school. The best time to teach people stuff is when they're children. So by the time that they get of age, or even the late teens, it becomes second nature instead of waiting until the last minute to teach somebody something. So by the time they get to high school, they done refine their skills, and now they have a real option. I could go on to college to further what I want to do, to get whatever I need to build my business, build the job, work for a company, or I could just go into the workforce. My parents don't really have the type of money. I don't want to go to the military. I want to work, make my money, get my own place, get my own car now. So by the time I'm 40 years old, I could retire. Why we don't have it like that? You feel me? Like that's a question to you. Why we don't have it like that?
Because we got too many people skimming off the top,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody having checks and balances for years.
Yeah.
Till now.
Yeah. I actually love it because it shakes things up, and if we're going to have these schools, we need to have qualified educators. And I don't believe that the educators that we have is not qualified. I feel like we don't have enough educators. Especially when you talk about from state to state. Why is it Massachusetts have one of the best schooling systems in the world, but it's right next to New York, and New York is one of the most trash schooling systems that you can have? How is that? So we got to make this make sense. I'm in favor of this, and we need to shake things up and let it build and take on a whole new curriculum that we could build with kids as they get older. All right, moving on to our next hot topic. Make sure y'all hit them likes, hit them 100